Hey guys, it's Matthew here once again, and just got a bit more of a video for the Energy Blade Totem Dark Pact character, but I wanted to start out, or do most of the first half of the video, with just showing you a few other totem setups. So this is Eye of Winter, and it went okay. Basically, I went ahead and tried like a lot of different totem setups just because my build has nothing but a lot of flat damage. So these are just level 1 gems that I'm trying out in like tier 14 plus maps, and you know, most of my damage comes from the added flat, so it doesn't matter they're low level, and that means I can try out just about every fucking spell, just for the fun of it. Now obviously for a lot of these spells you are building heavier into that specific type of spell so you can make it shine a bit more, but some of them work just fine as it is, like they did with the Dark Pact. So Eye of Winter was okay, but nothing too special in the end. Ball Lightning was pretty cool, and I think has potential. This is just pure memes. This is Voltaxic Burst without even doing any reduced duration or anything, just for the fun of like seeing how dumb this delay was going to be, and it's pretty dumb, but I do still have the knockback passive spec from a cluster, and that does impact a lot of my totem testing and gameplay for various types of totems. So the Ball Lightning might still actually want the knockback, and it might be fine. What you're seeing here is Winter Orb, and Winter Orb with knockback feels pretty bad because it like knocks it out of other consequential projectiles range. So as you're like hitting with one totem, the next totem starts attacking and it might knock them back out of the thing. So you really don't want knockback there, but even then, basically Winter Orb totems, they're not bad at all, but I do think they need Sire of Shards to become quite a bit nicer, because you just need far more projectiles, far more approach speed and cast speed to make non-Sire of Shards a thing, given that they just don't cover enough ground otherwise in the larger pack sense. But the single target on them was pretty legit, and it's not a bad build at all. Firestorm Totems I thought would be kind of a meme, but they're not too bad either. They do some okay coverage and they have some decent single target, but it's an absolute visual clusterfuck. And like, I did one other indoor map to try out Firestorm Totems, and man, you can't see shit, but I think it has kind of potential. And these are all just Energy Blade testers, but I think if you were going to build just about any proper totem skill, you probably wouldn't use Energy Blade. This was, you know, my attempt at trying to make Energy Blade a bit more of a thing, and just proper totem setups would be stronger in any case. Glacier Cascade, I think it's a bit hard to set up your final burst on a lot of situations because it does most of its damage on the last little wave explosion hit, and a lot of the time that's just not going to happen, but they are decent. Knockback didn't seem to be too bad for them because, you know, it might knock it back into the last range, but otherwise it's still, I'm using increased area, and it's kind of not doing enough coverage. Arc Totems are very legit. You can use them in this type of a build with the Energy Blade and all that, but you do have to spec into the chain, and you need a high level arc for all the additional chains, and you'll need the Helm enchant for the chain as well, because the chain doubles as a clear as well as the additional single target for more damage remaining chain. So this is just with a level 1, and it definitely needed the higher levels, and it was a very competitive totem setup when I used a higher level arc. Divine Ire, you definitely have to build in some good cast speed and make sure that you've got like freeze in the build, so that when it's winding up with its just area stage, it does a lot of freezing and defense through that way. I've played Divine Eye Totems in the past. They were very thick back then, and you can see a build with that just altogether from a couple years ago. It'd still work these days, but would be a bit tougher to make work, I think, just because the game's a bit more required in everything, clear and monsters and DPS and all that sort of shit. In any case, this is Arc Totems again with the level 21 arc, I think, so they got much better chains, and yeah, swap in a Cold Brotherhood as well, and it's freezing everything, and it's doing okay single target, and it was clearing pretty decent. In the end, I think it just did a bit worse single target than my Dark Pact, maybe like half the damage, so it was a bit disappointing, because Dark Pact still, I didn't think it was the best totem, but it was definitely in the end one of the better setups that I could have possibly tried. I think Dark Pact with the Nova Ring is just instant ranged nukes. So back to the Dark Pact basically. For the I just did a bunch of like 4-way invites and endgame bosses and mavens a few times, that sort of shit, and it is pretty good for bossing. The totem playstyle very solid, and the biggest nicety of Dark Pact totems is that they basically cost like 0 mana. It's like 50 mana or something, which is way nicer than just about every other totem. So in conclusion, for the other totem setups, I think that the best totems going around at the moment are Ice Spear totems. Arc totems are really good as well. Maybe Winter Orb totems if you had Cyrus shards, but Dark Pact totems also very good. Ice Spear, for example, though, you definitely have to build a lot more into. You want the proj speed, you want cast speed, you want lots of flat damage, you want the additional projectiles from Rain of Splinters, Dying Sun, maybe Ascendancies, that sort of shit. And in the end, they cost like 150 mana, so you definitely have to fix the mana somehow. So I did Ice Spear totems like a couple leagues back, 3-4 leagues back, I don't know, and they were insane. And you can't just like one for one change it up into this build to make Ice Spear totems, but I did try it out a bunch and it was very, very good still. So basically Energy Blade is a pile of memes, and it made Dark Pact totems viable again, but it wasn't anything too insane. It wasn't like crazy enough that I thought, yep, I'll be recommending this build to everyone. That's kind of what I was hoping for, that Energy Blade was going to work well enough and it would bring Dark Pact totems back into a certain viability, and it kind of has, but ultimately I think for it to have really been good and recommendable, it probably needed about another 50% more DPS, so it would really blow up the end game bosses. It just didn't do that, and thus it's kind of a bit too uncomfortable to build and then manage your energy shield and all that, and the playstyle with the lots of extra buttons to press, just not that worth doing, I don't really think. You can use my character as a template for how things worked, and you know, it's got something like 6 million totem DPS for this Dark Pact Energy Blade, and check out how I kind of built an Energy Blade, but there's not really anything to copy and I wouldn't really recommend it. And then lastly, I would also just like to show you what was probably the biggest frame destroyer I've had since I've gotten this new PC like a few months ago, and it is just another totem test. It's Frostbolt totems with GMP, so even more projectiles and Rain of Splinters, I think it is, and then using Snake Pit and Chain. So Frostbolt naturally pierces, but you can get rid of that pierce if you use a Snake Pit, and then it's chaining 3 times. And I've got just, this is Phantasmal Frostbolt as well, just got fucking Frostbolts everywhere, and it actually was destroying my frames quite a bit. So I'm usually sitting at like 140 with the VSync, and it dips me down to 50. But it was kind of a cool effect, and you can see the new Dying Sun MTX in action here as well. It was very pretty, kind of useless, won't have any single target damage in the end, but not too shabby. So with all that, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Kind of just a nothing totem build in the end, but it was fun to put together. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.